I just found out one of the biggest secrets about my husband, and he's been charging me $500 rent per month, knowing that he's keeping this secret from me. Throwaway account. I'm 26 female, met my now husband 25 male 4 years ago on the interwebs. He was a student at university, and I was working full-time as a medical tech. He was very hardworking, ambitious, and goal-oriented person. These are some of the qualities that was attractive to me. He's an immigrant, and I knew his family's financial struggles, and I was impressed by how far he's come. I would be supporting him in his goals. Soon after, we started dating, and 2 years ago, we got married. He graduated from college and found a job at a tech company, and he would work from home while I'd work 12-hour days on site. I'd ask about his salary, and he would tell me it's $60,000. I didn't think of it much and just continued with life. I only made $20 an hour, and I have lots of loans that I usually pay. Well, let's fast forward now. 1 year. He moved to a new city, and while I was struggling to find a job in the new city, so I stayed back for 3 months. After 3 months, he surprised me with a house that is in his name only. He would never talk to me about his finances, but he got a loan for a $400,000 house on a $60K salary? I still didn't pay attention, and since our marriage, he's the one taking care of finances and taxes, etc. I wanted to purchase a house for my mother and sister. I found the perfect house, and my bank requested me for a tax return of the last 3 years. So I requested my husband to send it to me, but he would insist that he'd like to talk to the bank himself, or he would just handle the situation, and would try to convince me that his bank is better than mine. But I've already locked down this deal, and I wasn't going to budge. So finally, after a lot of arguments, he sent me the tax returns. And the tax return income for last year was a whopping $1.8 million. And my contribution was $38,000. All this time, he would fight with me for small and little expenses. He bought a 2007 Beater Toyota with my money, and he still charges me $500 every month. I don't understand how he got so much money and why he tried to hide it from me. Since I found out, he told me his bank is empty. He spent it all, and he sent back home to his parents. I'm just lost, and I have a lot of questions. Mini little update added on by the OP. Hey guys, I couldn't really read the comments, but I can answer a few questions before I go to work. I said I make $38K last year. It doesn't mean I make the same now. I'm making closer to 50, and I wanted to buy a small house for my mother and 6-year-old sister in the LCOL area. Yes, I bought him his first and only car 3 years ago, and he hasn't returned me any money yet. Update. Wow, guys, this gained a lot of traction. Here's the update. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for encouraging me to speak out my rights. Since then, we had some discussion, and we've come to an alignment. As I mentioned earlier, we both love and care for each other immensely. So, I'd have a hard time leaving him. I know people asked to get a divorce and lawyer up, etc., but I didn't want to make it messy. He was very vague about the source of the money, but pointed out that he owned an LLC that was acquired or merger. Anyways, important thing is he agreed to fund 50% of the house that I was planning to buy from my mother and promised me a new G-Wagon. Oh boy. I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but I think communication does work most of the time. Also, he's got potential to go places. I'm talking 5 to 10 years down the line. I don't know, I just wouldn't want to leave him high and dry. I feel like I'm worth way more than $900,000. I provided him the right energy and homely atmosphere, hence he was able to do what he does. So me being with him is only going to help him succeed in the future. Okay, the comment section of this first story is going wild. Here's a couple of them. So, what she's saying is, she still doesn't know where the money came from, huh? Totally, says comment 2. Can't believe she's just ignoring that fact. Gotta wonder if she knows or found out it's shady. And quickly concluded the post saying, it's all good now. One final comment replies to that and says, yeah, I mean, it's either inheritance, cryptos, stocks, gambling, or money laundering. Most likely inheritance or money laundering. The IT job makes me wonder crypto? I don't know though. Or could have owned crypto since he was like 13. Guys, let me know, where do you think this money is coming from? Drop it down below. It just seems a little weird how the husband's being so secretive to the lady that he loves. I would like to hear your opinion on that, guys, and we will now look at the second story. Am I the a-hole for not telling my fiance I'm an orphan until we're planning our wedding, and then telling prospective mother-in-law and father-in-law that I did not want them to be my fake parents? Yeah. I'm 26 male. I'm an orphan of the, quote, left at the doorstep at the fire station variety. No name, no information, birthday, nothing. I guess I wasn't a very cute kid, huh? Because I was never adopted. Then I went through a series of foster homes, and the things that happened to me, well, it makes me wish the United States had actual orphanages, because at least workers are there for money, not whatever twisted duckery they think is called parenting. I grew up cold and bitter and worked hard, desperate to prove myself on the off chance that they'd see and come back. When no one was there for high school graduation, I absolutely broke down. Then I let go of the resentment, but in order for that to happen, I also let go of ever wanting anything resembling parents. I went off to college and then got into medical school. Not because of a particular interest in medicine, but because no matter what happened, someone would always need a doctor, right? I just fell in love with a classmate, and we started dating. I never told her that I was an orphan, only telling her my parents were chronically absent, which I guess is true. And someone else took care of me, which is also true. After 2 years of dating, she proposed the day after our graduation 6 months ago. Yeah, she proposed. I was happy that I finally had physical evidence, and a rather expensive ring at that, showing I was worthy of being loved, that I didn't remember parents or at weddings. So I'd need to tell her. Edit, the physical evidence bit was a tongue-in-cheek. I grew up without gifts like that, and I learned to make do. The salient part is what was the happiest that I've ever been, and I didn't want to jeopardize that by unloading my past on her. We matched at the same hospital where her family lived, so we moved in together there. And after the 12th unsolicited visit from her mother asking what our plan for the wedding was, I decided to tell my fiancé in a probably crude way. I told her that my parents were chronically absent because I didn't know who they were, and, quote, someone else was to foster homes. After asking a couple questions, she ran away to her parents to discuss my parentlessness. Then they all came back for dinner. My prospective mother-in-law said that she and prospective father-in-law wanted me to think of them as my parents from now on, and that she'd be my mother for the wedding. I thanked them, but said I wasn't interested in having parents of any kind. But guys, she insisted. Everyone should know a parent's love, she said. Well, that's when I made the joke about how I had a mouse in one of my chemical researches, literally eating its own baby. So, how much of parents' love do we need? She pushed again, and I said, honestly, it's just weird to me because this makes my fiancé my step-sibling. Ew. Then the father-in-law, potential, slammed the table and he yelled at me for not taking his wife or daughter seriously, and I snapped back, telling them to get a grip. Go find my parents if they wanted me to have them, and I hope they have better luck than I did. Well, they shut up and left. Not before they took a plate of food with them. Later, my fiancé and I were going to the room they were holed up to apologize and talk calmly. When we overheard them talking about the situation, they were really concerned about what it would look like to Gramps if his granddaughter was marrying an orphan. See, that's the kind of thing I've come to expect from parents. But my fiancé is still upset and demanding to know what else I'm hiding from her. I guess the answer is nothing. Her parents and her gigantic family that won't fit in a dang house is obviously important to her, but I never knew mine, so this wasn't a huge secret. Just something I didn't like talking about. She's not understanding, so I'm asking you guys. Am I the a-hole, or even if I am, is there anything else I could have done to get a better outcome? What's up, guys? Mr. Reddito here. So OP made some clarifying marks at the end of the original post before he went ahead and made an update. So let's read some of those clarifying details. Guys, I hope you're enjoying your day today. Just go ahead and click that subscribe button if you want more stories in the future, and let's jump into the clarifying details. When I made this post, I knew Lola, which is my fiance. I can't believe I've been spelling it wrong this entire time and no one pointed it out. Her family was rich, but there's rich and then there's influential, both of which they are. I only knew about the latter part in vague details before the events happened because, well, I didn't really care before. And Lola becoming a doctor was in part of an effort to break away from the mold of the family, so she doesn't like going into too much detail about their finances. Well, they're deeply entrenched in the business and local government of the U.S. South and are conservatives. So my lack of heritage is a problem to them, not only in a social lens, but also in a practical one in terms of possible scandals or campaign ammunition. Example, your homelessness policy sucks because, well, your son/nephew/grandson-in-law was $12 away from being homeless in 2014. Well, that's why it became an issue, huh? Prospective father-in-law has been told point blank that they don't want a nameless dude marrying into the family. Mr. Reddito here. So after the original post, it seemed like he was ruled the a-hole of this story for the whole situation. But he's not done yet. He came back saying he does not agree with you guys. And let's read his little update/rant. Well, thanks everyone for your comments. Mostly everyone did have some pretty helpful insights, even if I don't agree. And if you weren't, I'm sorry for raging at you. So the universe is in balance, and after taking a step back, I've seen some of the faults in my thinking. So I do want to say this, though, about being labeled the a-hole. If I'm the a-hole for keeping my status as an orphan from Lola, only for the reason that she's the person I've decided to dedicate my life to. So I should trust her with everything about my life. I don't agree that I should have told her because if it turns out that she has a problem with orphans, that wasted time for both of us. Nor do I agree that I lied. I was never under the illusion that I could keep it a secret forever. But I don't see the issue in having waited a year or 6 months or whatever subjectively defined timeline you, personnel, might have wanted to know about. All relevant factors, example, not being a strong family man, are exactly the same whether I'm an orphan or just have absent parents. I'm the a-hole, huh, for saying vulgar crap to prospective mother-in-law and father-in-law in an attempt to distract away from the topic of me considering them as my parents. Well, they have apologized for not taking more time to understand the situation that I'm in. They simply thought that me not having parents equals I want parents. I've apologized for what I said. I'm glad that a lot of replies here are understanding of my desire to just leave the quote parent section of my life blank. But mother-in-law and father-in-law still think it's just a defense mechanism that I'll eventually get past. I guess I'll end this with a couple words. Thank goodness for therapy. I found a good going back and forth kind of argument/a debate by one of the commenters and the OP of this story, so let's read those. You have to admit that you intentionally deceived her, aka lied for a few years, so if nothing else, you are the a-hole for that. Your future in-laws were trying to do something nice for you, but you took it so far as what they were trying to do. Who the heck cares what grandpa thinks, dude? The one thing you are not an a-hole, though, is wanting replacement parents. I understand that. With what happened to you, I don't think anyone could blame you. That's why I say everyone sucks here in this story. Also, I'm a little confused. Did your fiance give you an engagement ring too? I don't see that very often. This is where OP replied and said, yes, she did. I have a non-existent taste in fashion, and she probably didn't want to see what I turned up with. She knows jewelry far better than I do. I guess I should mention that her entire family is very well off, and from old money, as far as I can tell, Realistically speaking, Gramps is probably not the only one that's taken issue. She's the first woman in her family to be a doctor, and she told me that caused tension, so I'm not exactly enthused at the blowout of her marrying an orphan. Her family is important to her, and I don't want her to have to choose between them and me. Maybe I should have just kept my mouth shut. So guys, tell me what you think about that back and back with OP in a commenter. That's all the content for today. I hope you enjoyed those two stories. If you did, smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.